Good morning and happy Wednesday from Thoughts from the Car. Today I want to get right to it. We're going to talk about the power of strengthening our intuition in order to make more clear and aligned decisions. This is something that I have really been working on the last year or two, especially the last year. And it is something that growing up, I was taught to not necessarily trust my intuition, and even more so when I was a young adult. Instead, I was taught to trust the divine. And there's nothing wrong with trusting the divine. That's faith. It's a super important part of faith and our faith experiences. But I was kind of told to kind of dampen that intuitive thinking. And so it's been a process for me to reinvigorate that. And as I have done that, my life has changed quite a bit. And it's been really empowering and really freeing for me. And so I think it's a really important part of decision making. And it has helped me make more powerful decisions in general by empowering my intuition. So we're going to talk about it today. So first of all, what is our intuition? Our intuition is that gut instinct. It's that sixth sense. It's that inner wisdom is how it's most normally described. It's that thing inside of you that sometimes you just have a knowing that's beyond reason, logical reason, that you're supposed to do something or take an action on something. That intuition is something that we are oftentimes born with, excuse me, but it is something that we can also develop over time and strengthen it. It's also something that when we ignore our intuition, when we ignore that inner voice that we have, we can lose its power as well. So that's why it's really important to strengthen it so that we can lean into it and trust it and make better decisions and more aligned decisions with ourselves. Excuse me. Lots of allergies today. So powerful intuition significantly enhances our own clarity so that we make more aligned decisions for our life. And tapping into that intuition gives us access to deep-seated wisdom, inner wisdom, which provides us valuable insights and guidance to how to live our lives in a way that is fulfilling and brings us joy and aligns with and most often when we make our decisions based on our intuition, they will most often align with our values, goals, and beliefs. So that's why we need to do this. I kind of went backwards a little bit of why we need to make decisions based on intuition. It actually is a very powerful tool that has been given to us by God, Creator, the divine, whatever you want to call it. It's something that He has given us, and it's something that can be enhanced and strengthened just like a muscle at the gym, the more we use it. So there are also certain effects when we are making intuitive decisions. There are a lot of effects on our life, our daily life, and our overall wellness when we are making our decisions. And some of those things are, the biggest thing is reduce stress and it reduces uncertainty in general, because it helps us cut through the noise and all the chaos that can kind of come, confusion that often comes when we have to make a decision, especially when it's a difficult decision, and we need a clear direction on something. So maybe we have to make a decision on our career, or we have to make a decision for our family, or we're having to make a decision that is going to be life-changing. oftentimes there's lots of distractions and clutter and noise and confusion that comes in. But when we live more intuitively and we learn to utilize our intuition and strengthen that intuition, it helps us to make more decisions specifically during very uncertain times. It also helps us enhance our understanding. It offers us a deeper understanding of complex situations that we might find ourselves in. So when we might be in a complex situation that involves a lot of people's other feelings or emotions, and we maybe don't understand their specific feelings or emotions, we can have more empathy and we can have more sympathy for understanding like where they might be coming from, because oftentimes we might find ourselves in a complex situation and that we're not able to identify an effective course of action. So when we utilize our intuition, this allows us to have a greater understanding of those complexities, even if we aren't familiar with the specifics of the situation. It just helps us to kind of get past, again, all that noise and understand where someone else might be coming from and their emotions and their feelings. And it just overall creates a higher emotional intelligence to make decisions based on a higher emotional intelligence. And when we do this effectively, this helps us to have increased confidence. So then we become more confident in our decisions despite uncertainty, especially when we can see like the track record of us making decisions based on our intuition. We are better able to have more confidence in that intuition when we kind of see the results of it. And I think ultimately too, as we get better and strengthen our intuition and we're having increased confidence, we also get better outcomes, improved outcomes, or more acceptable outcomes, however you want to word that, for how we are living our life and how we're making our decisions, and better outcomes in the sense of we're more likely to choose the path that aligns with our values and our beliefs and our morals, and our decision making just becomes more aligned in general for our value system, because we tend to intuitively choose the path that aligns better that way rather than overthinking things all the time. And it also will help us align more with our goals. Like if you're trying to make decisions for like your business, having your intuition to guide you and having it strengthened will help you reach your goals more quickly. Which kind of leads into my next point, that when we utilize our intuition and we are strengthening our intuition, this helps us make our decisions more quickly. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to overthink and overanalyze. And by enhancing my intuition and learning to trust my intuition and having more confidence in my intuition, just strengthening that intuitive muscle, I am better able to make decisions more quickly and efficiently. And I think this is super important for people to tend to really overanalyze things. I'm a researcher by nature. I love to research things and learn about things, but there becomes a point where we can overanalyze and we can over-research things to the point where we're like frozen in actually making decisions and actually moving forward towards our goals. So by living more by intuition and strengthening our intuition, we can make decisions more quickly and move forward more quickly towards our goals, towards the project that we're doing, towards making decisions, which is super helpful when you are like in an emergency, urgent situation and you have to make decisions very quickly and you don't have time to overanalyze and you don't have time to research. By strengthening our intuition, we can make those emergency decisions very quickly, and not worry so much about the consequences of it because we trust our intuition. We'll have more confidence in our intuition so we can make decisions more quickly. Like we have more confidence in that. And we're not relying so much on the research that we're doing and analyzation and logical thought. We can just go with our gut. And then this, I think, provides us greater satisfaction in life overall. Because when we're more aligned and we're making more aligned decisions and more clear decisions more quickly, we're not overanalyzing, we're confident, we are more satisfied with our life in general, and we become more satisfied with the results because we're having improved outcomes, because we're feeling more confident, because we're moving more quickly. We're not living in uncertainty for so long. And we have a more enhanced understanding about what's going on around us and our own inner wisdom and our inner selves. And we have more awareness of ourselves as well. So there are lots of benefits to strengthening our intuition to have a more satisfied life. So then the question becomes, because I love to give you guys the practicals, how do we do this? Like, how do we increase our intuition and how do we make decisions more quickly and based on the intuition, right? So I think the first thing is practicing mindfulness, which is about having greater awareness of our inner self. We have to learn who we are. We have to understand the signals that our body gives us, the sensations in our body that happen when we get triggered or when we face a certain situation and have feelings about it. And just noticing in our body, we call it the gut instinct for a reason, because the sensations oftentimes in our gut are intuitive leadings. And so when we're more aware of our body, when we're practicing mindfulness, we are better able to connect with our inner self, our inner wisdom, if you will, to make decisions that we feel more confident about and, have more understanding over. Trusting our gut makes us more confident. It helps us give us more guidance. And then we can not rely so much on analytic thinking and logic, which oftentimes puts us as in a analysis paralysis. It's too early. And we kind of freeze. And then, like I said, then we're not moving forward and we get frozen in decision making because we're not moving forward, because we're not trusting our gut. So we have to literally trust that gut, that first thought that comes, and kind of decide to go for it. And I think that another way that we do this is by reflecting on past experiences when we have relied on our gut instinct, our inner wisdom, the intuition, whatever you want to call it. So we can look at past decisions that we've made based on intuition, and that oftentimes will help reinforce the trust of our intuition because of the good outcomes that came and the satisfaction that we have with that decision that we made based on our intuition. I think another really important thing about intuition is not a lone wolf thing. When we are one thing that really helps us to lean into intuition is seeking guidance from others, seeking other people's perspectives, people who are wise, mentors, people who are very intuitive themselves and live their life by intuition can be very helpful to consult with them and get their perspective to help clarify decisions that we need to make and clarify how we can be more intuitive and where those sensations might be in our body and help us have more awareness and help us to be more confident in following our intuition in our decision making for alignment. And just, I know it's like a catch-22. The other thing really is avoiding overthinking. Like, I'm an overthinker. You guys know this. I know many of you are too who watch these videos. And so it feels kind of redundant to say this, but simply, oftentimes, the simplest solution is often the best solution. And we just go with that solution rather than overthinking and think, well, what about this? And what about that? I know I've been in situations recently where I have been overthinking my I've been overthinking like my decisions. And when I'm overthinking those decisions, that's when things get more complicated. And I end up oftentimes going back to the simplest solution, the first gut instinct that I had about a situation or a person or whatever it may be. And I find that like I'm overthinking it. And so just choosing to say, I'm not going to overthink it in this situation, I'm going to go with that first gut instinct, no matter what it is, whether it's buying something or a decision that you're making or someone that you're meeting, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's just like doing the practical and doing intuitive exercises. I'll get to intuitive exercises in a minute, I think, but like practicing intuition, like actually doing it and seeing that we don't have to overthink things, because sometimes the simplest solution is that first solution, that first thing. And I think the last two things that really help us are when we celebrate our successes, when we have been living by our intuition and we can see the results and we see the fruit of that, celebrate it and recognize it. And oftentimes that means we have to kind of create a support system for that, because I don't know about you guys, but I kind of have come from a place where a lot of people in my circles were not really doing this practice, and they kind of spoke against living by intuition. And so you have to kind of create that circle for yourself and find your tribe, or however you want to say it, who also are living by intuition and living that way, because of the support and the guidance that comes from it, and the freedom that also comes from it, because sometimes this can be considered a different way of thinking, and sometimes people don't accept it. They want very logical answers. They want evidence. They want proof, and they can't just have that faith in themselves because they've been told not to not trust self, to not believe in yourself, I guess you could say. I mean, and that comes in all different forms, and that comes in different flavors and extremities as well. So I mentioned like doing intuitive exercises. And so this is something that I've been doing. And I think that as someone who also works in the education system, one of the things that about exercises and learning is that we have to make it fun. When we make things fun, we're more likely to do these things and them to be more effective. So very quickly, some intuitive exercises that we can do are guessing games. So like flipping a coin, card tricks, guessing a number, like just making it fun, and like, heads or tails. Oh, I'm going to choose tails, and then see how many times it comes up and like record it. I talked about intuitive journaling and writing things down. Like with these guessing games, these exercises, make sure you are, writing these things down. Intuitive journaling, specifically when you record intuitive thoughts or hunches that you have about a situation or person or whatever, and then reflecting on those things that you're writing down, of where you were right and where you were wrong. Like looking back and reflecting on it can be super helpful. And this can be super fun as well. And anytime we record something, it's great for us to be able to look back and see where we have evolved and changed and grown. Another thing, I guess the third thing would be like visualization. So imagine outcomes. Like some people call this like idea of manifesting, or so visualizing what you want to happen in a situation or a relationship or a situation that you might be in, is visualize what you want the outcome to be. And then pay attention to the feelings and sensations in your body when you think about those outcomes. Like what is going on inside of you when you're thinking about and doing that exercise. And that will help you notice those sensations in your body of trusting and knowing that intuition is leading you and guiding you. Do decision-making exercises, such as choosing where to go out to eat without looking at reviews, without getting recommendations, without looking at the menu. Just intuitively decide and, record whether your experience, whether it was a good experience or not. and like what was going on in your body when you made that decision. Pick a movie without reading the description, and again, do the same thing. It's about reflection of that choice and the outcome of that choice, and what happened afterwards in that choice. Do gut-based shopping. So choose based on your first instinct or reaction, an impression of buying something, rather than reading the labels all the time. Like, again, I said I'm a super researcher, and this may seem very irresponsible, but sometimes this is a nice exercise to do, where we just buy the thing based on an instinct. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and buy a car based on an instinct and not, having a mechanic look under the hood. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. But on small things, we can do these small exercises to build that intuitive thing. So maybe it's the laundry detergent that you buy, like not researching it and not reading the ingredients, not reading, all the reviews and blah, blah, blah. Or, something small that's not going to make a significant impact on your life. And also following your instincts on people that you meet. If you get a great feeling about someone, go with that instinct, see where it leads you. And then again, reflect on what happened in that situation. And I think all of these exercises really are to help us recognize signals in our body and recognize the signals that where intuition leads us. So, challenge for today. If you are a researcher, if you're an overanalyzer, if you're a very logical thinker, this all feels maybe a little woo-woo to you, and it feels very challenging for you to just make a decision based on a feeling of, intuition, right? And but it's very helpful. So I want you today to make some intuitive decisions. So that might be where you go out to eat or what you make for dinner, something small, one of those exercises that I mentioned. If you are already an intuitive person, I want you to start journaling your intuition so that you have that record, so that you can build that muscle for more better decisions and more clarity and aligned decisions. All right, guys, have a great Wednesday.